Hello and welcome again, Antstreamers, to another episode of Retro. What do we call this
Radio.
podcast now?
Retro Radio.
There we go.
Great
Retro
start.
Radio. Great start. But you know what? We're going to keep on rolling. Today we are joined by a special guest, Mr. HaZ Dulull, who is a bit of a
You completely butchered my surname, by the way. You know, it's like,
did I butcher?
How did you get a W in there, Sash? Like,
oh man,
how
I
did
do
you do
apologize.
that?
How do I pronounce it so I not butcher it again?
Dulull.
Dulull.
There you go.
All right. Shall we take it from the top?
No, I think this is cool.
You think this is cool? All right, we're going to go all natural. Okay, we're going to go all natural route. But yes, HaZ is someone I've known for probably about 10, maybe 12 years now.
Yeah,
on and off. We got a lot of mutual acquaintances and stuff. And we, you know, in my years of like doing short films and stuff, I bumped into him through our mutual friend, Mr. Dragon Ball D, as I like to call him. And my friend D-Land's an effects artist, which is where you started out.
Yeah, that's right.
But I noticed on your IMDb, you date back to the video games industry where you met another one of my good friends, Mr. Imran Yusuf, down on Battalion Wars.
Yes.
For Kuju? Was it Kuju?
Yeah, Kuju. Yeah.
Oh man, Kuju. Yeah. Oh man, what was that like? Because that's one of Jerome's favorites, actually.
You know,
Yeah.
I start to find out a lot of people has a lot of love for that game. I mean, obviously, when I was working in that cinematics part, so I wasn't really like aware of the game that much. I thought it was like connected with Advance Wars. Do you remember Advance Wars? I thought it was connected to that, but I don't know if it is. But no, it was a very tense thing because obviously it's Nintendo, and you know the deadlines are crazy. But yeah, I met Yusuf because Yusuf was in like, I think he was leading QA, and I remember I was like one of the last people in the day, just trying to like work the dev kit. I think it was for the Wii dev kit we were using, and Imran being who he is, we started becoming friends over Battalion Wars.
Oh man, so before we get into your career and stuff,
Yeah.
what's your Antstream journey like? What's your retro journey like? What, you know, growing up, where did it all begin?
Yeah, for me, man, it began in Trocadero. You know, like I spent a lot of time in Trocadero. I was that kid that would go to the cafes, where people used to smoke at the cafes, right? And like every cafe shop had a Street Fighter machine. And I remember particularly they would overclock the Street Fighter machine, so you get Street Fighter Turbo Black or Alpha Zero, blah blah blah, where you get like, you know, Ryu doing 7 fireballs and Blanca going up. They just overclock the machine, right? They kind of hacked the mod. I was just obsessed with the fact that you could do that, and it became like this thing that I was obsessed with. So Street Fighter 2 has a special place in my heart. In terms of console, or actually computers, actually my very first computer game experience in terms of like a computer that I owned was probably the Atari ST10.
Oh,
yeah, it was
the
like
bitter rival of the Amiga.
I know, I know. Yeah, my dad being a typical like Mercian parent, right, would be like, but at the time there was a shot called Rumbelows. Do you remember the shot called Rumbelows?
Oh man, that's a blast from the past. Yeah.
yeah. So they had these
Rumbelows.
package deals, and it was like the Amiga had deluxe paint and had one game with it. But the Atari, for some reason, that day they're doing this wicked pack where you get a monitor, you get obviously the Atari computer, and you get the game Gods by Bitmap.
Oh
Brothers.
Gods. Yeah.
And you get Cubase, and you get all of these freaking games. And my dad go, well, that's way better value for money than the Amiga. I go, but that's got deluxe paint. So I end up learning Cubase. I ended up doing music on the Atari ST because of its MIDI port, right? So yeah, music was my thing. But in terms of like the very first computer game I actually played was probably Pong. My older cousin had it, and then it was Operation Wolf on the I think it was Commodore 64 because I remember the tape taking forever to load up. Do you remember that time you used to go to the corner shops and they had the little racks with the cassettes?
Yeah, all the what was it? All the hit squad games. Yeah, the hit squad games. And you'd have like your Codemasters, your Dizzy games in there, all for like $3.99 or $2.99.
But even the corner shops, right? I remember like you had those racks of the $2.99 cassettes, but then you always had like arcades there as well, like RoboCop. I remember playing RoboCop for the first time on an arcade in a corner shop, by the way.
Oh man, you know what? It's really eerie because you know what? I was looking earlier on today online, and I saw there's a group of indie devs, a couple of fanboys. They're trying to make the Data East RoboCop, but for Mega Drive.
No way.
Because it never came out on the Mega Drive. So they're trying to do a Mega Drive conversion. I think they've got a demo which you can play for free online. Where you
Is it like a homebrew? Is it
homebrew
wow.
RoboCop, man. Yeah. So I wanna really play that when that's finished, because RoboCop is like one of those. I remember growing up in the 80s. That's like a quintessential game, low key.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like everyone remembers the NES game. I had it on it was definitely one of the first games I had on the Amiga.
You know? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you get the baby food as the energy, and yeah.
Wow, you got good memory, man.
Yeah, man. Oh God, those were the days. Oh.
Yeah, well, so that's kind of like my entry into video games for sure. But you know, the interesting thing is, guys, I actually didn't want to work in video games. I wanted to be a filmmaker, right? I saw Blade Runner on the VHS. My dad, the times when responsible parents would go to the library or even the video rental store, and he had to have the 18 certificate, and it felt really good to get an 18 certificate film. And or you get the mid one, which is like the 15. You got 15 is gonna have some violence and sex in it, but like 18's like, oh my god, that's gonna be like The Crow or something, right? Or something really brutal. So I remember my dad bought home Blade Runner. He goes, okay, just watch this. As Harrison Ford is the guy, from like Star Wars. It'll be fun. it was the most darkest shit we've ever seen. And I remember watching it. Oh my god, this is like, because I grew up, I loved sci-fi, but I was less of a Star Wars fan. I was more of a Trekkie. And Star Trek back then with William Shatner was a little bit campy, very colorful. So when you switch to like Blade Runner, you're like, that is a massive contrast. It's eerie, it's rainy. There's some really like deep, provoking subjects about identity and all of that stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, I want to know how they make stuff like this. And I just became obsessed, and I watched every freaking movie I could think of. Do you remember like when ITV used to play the 10 p.m. Sci-fi thing? Like, know it's gonna, anything past 10 p.m. is like, oh, it's gonna be good.
It's always the good stuff.
Right? Yeah. And they have aliens, they play Blade Runner. And I remember Channel 4 introduced Manga Entertainment, right? And they used to play at 12 midnight, and my dad used to record. And then
Akira would come on like that. Totally. I remember when Akira came on, that's all school would talk about, because everyone at school that was up and saw it. They're like, did you see that thing with motorbikes? And people were swearing, bruv. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and explosions and shit. But, the thing for me is, my dad recorded it on VHS thinking it was a cartoon. And then we were watching it, and I was like, what the hell is this? But it was like, but this is kind of cool. Just don't tell your mom we're watching this. And it just blew my mind. And I became obsessed with like manga. So like video games and manga was like my thing growing up. But I was just obsessed with becoming a filmmaker. But, growing up in the area that I grew up and, just the socio-economic thing, going to film schools are kind of out of the question. So I end up like, I remember getting a copy of Edge magazine while I was still at uni. And I just, at the back of Edge magazine, you would have all of the adverts of like studios recruited, like, you'll have Rare, Climax, all those people. And I would just send, and this is back in there, there's no internet, right? Like, so you'd have to put stuff on the CD, put it in an envelope, have a big stack of stuff. You just send it out with a handwritten letter or something. And I got rejections, dude. I was rejected. And then one studio said, come in for an interview. I'm like, and it's a company called Daybus Studios, which was in Camden Town. And they were making a game for Sierra, a company called Sierra, and the game was called Motocross Mania. Extreme Bike was the first one. It was a motocross game, right? So I come in there, and the guy, the art director, Kevin Wafer, look at my portfolio, goes, your work's pretty shit. I'm just going to say it. I'm like, okay then. But I like the energy of what you're doing in your work. I can see where you're going. I can see you're referencing Aliens, you're referencing Akira, all of that stuff. So like, I'm going to bring you as an intern, just shadow me. And I swear I could have caught fucking lung cancer in that place. They were just smoking, like fucking chain smoking back in the day, man. But what I loved was the fact that it was a very enclosed office. Like, everyone was doing everything. A coder was doing pixel art. An animator was doing some music. And we were using something called Alias Wavefront at the time, which later became Maya. I was using 3D Studio R4, where you load up via DOS. And I was learning how to do, like, 3D modeling. UV mapping, right? You get one texture, and everything on that bike would fit on that one sort of, like, 256 by 256 texture. And that was the big texture. And that was for PC. And then we got the PS1 come in, and we started going, 8 meg video memory. Woo! woo, this is gonna be amazing. 8 meg, we can do so much with 8 meg. And I ended up working on Motocross Mania, but I was really crap at 3D modeling, and I was in CGI. I was just pretty crap. But what I seemed to have found a niche at the time was I broke the level editor. And when I broke the level editor, I was moving the camera around and found these really cool shots. And I was just taking screenshots, to send to E3 and ECTS. And my boss at the time, Daniel Bobroff, was like, "Yeah, you could do that stuff. Like, don't touch that stuff, but you could do this stuff." And that's where I fell into the world of FMV, full motion video, and then eventually became cinematics. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Wow, that's an interesting story. That's a very long one. Yeah. How many people did you actually work in the office in that company? Was there quite a lot of people? Or was it very small indie?
It was small, but there was like 30 people. Like back then, that was pretty big.
Yeah, it was pretty big at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And then I went to work at Codemasters for a bit, and I worked at Colin McRae Rally on PS2, and that was all the way. And I lived in Leamington Spa for a while. That was really nice. And then eventually I was like, God, I started getting the bug. I'm like, by the way, the job I had at Codemasters was brilliant because I can say this now because my NDA is way past, but it was literally to take the screenshots of the PC and simulate next gen, which was at the time PS2. So I was a Photoshop ninja, right? So I'll Photoshop particles and stuff, and they'll put that into Edge magazine and go, "This is next gen." And it's it's Photoshop, mate. I mean, it's obviously screen grabbed from the level, but it was and the program was like, "Shit, we have to deliver this because it's an Edge." So the programs would come HaZ, just don't make this look good because we had to deliver this. And I was like, well, I kind of want to make it look cool. So yeah, that was essentially my job. And then I got into capturing replay cameras and placing replay cameras onto the tracks and doing really, really interesting things. And that's when I really got into in-engine sort of cinematics. And then they introduced things like bloom onto the car, where the way it interacts with lights, and this forced me to learn cinematography. And at that point, I'm like, who the hell makes movies in a video game engine, dude? I'm just gonna leave that. So I left and I got a job at MPC, started from the ground up as a rotoscope artist. I worked on a movie called 10,000 BC, the Roland Emmerich film. Very nightmarish project to work on because I had to rotoscope grass.
Wow.
Grass. Oh my God.
Just for someone to put a mammal behind it, or a mammoth, a big giant mammoth. And then later on I found out they slapped it on top of the roto in a way. I'm like, come on. And then I worked on Sweeney Todd, worked on Narnia, did one of the Harry Potter films where we had to remove Ralph Fiennes got tracking markers on the nose. Had to do that. And then I worked on Hellboy 2, which is very cool. And I think Hellboy 2 was where I realized the sort of director I would like to be, because I remember working at a company called Lip Sync, and we were doing this shot in Hellboy 2 where Ron Perlman's eating the chocolate and there's all these cats around. It's a dialogue scene. It's not even a visual effects scene. It's a dialogue scene. But his prosthetics all broke. And in true Hollywood fashion, keep rolling. We'll fix it in post. So I volunteered to fix it in post. And we were using something called Shake at the time, which is a very primitive piece of software. So I had to do digital reconstruction on these entire frame by frame, take a bit from this frame, patch it on this bit, take a bit of this thing. It took me weeks to do it. Work of art, but very painful. And Guillermo del Toro came in one day of dailies and he goes, "This is amazing. Who did that shot?" And then they called me in the dailies. He goes, "Yeah," the director would like to say a few words to you. He goes, "Yeah, that was good work, man." And at that point, I would do anything for that guy. So I remember thinking, God, one day when I become a filmmaker, I want to be that guy. Appreciate your crew. Now, bear in mind, obviously, later on, I became a VFX supervisor, right? And VFX supervisor means you're on set quite a lot and you're on the location and you're not really on the box doing the work. And I've worked some insane directors that are just completely crazy off their rockers. And I worked with some amazing directors. But the big break for me, where I feel like I went to film school, is when I got the job at Pinewood for 8 months to work on this little movie called The Dark Knight. And that became my film school. I had to learn, because when you're doing previs, you're essentially making the movie on a computer, right? That's central previs. And I was working on something what you call post-viz, where you take the previs, you take the IMAX plates, and you put them together to kind of figure out what it's going to look like before we send it to the visual effects houses to work on. So I had to learn how to read a script, how to break a script. I had to understand lenses, had to understand everything to do with lighting, framing, composition, how to take notes, and how to work very, very fast. Because unlike the visual effects workflow, where you can spend freaking 4 weeks just grooming the freaking hair on a dragon, On previous, you're iterating constantly. You're getting notes. You've got to address them the next day. They've got to do dailies. They've got to show it to the director, the head of production, the studio. And I just learned how to really think fast on my feet. So you can imagine after working on that movie, I've got any job with VFX pretty easy. And then I ended up working at Prime Focus for a bit. I was head of visual effects there for a while. Worked at Jellyfish. Worked on a show called Planet Dinosaur. But while I was working in visual effects, like I got time, I made a bunch of short films. And that's probably where we crossed paths. Actually.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
right. Because
through mutual friends, it was just kind of like we never actually worked together on anything. But,
no, we never.
It was always like, yeah, I'm working on this thing with HaZ. It was like, okay, well, when can you work on my thing? You know what I mean? Like,
oh, no.
And then when I saw your stuff, I was like, I looked at my stuff and I was like, yeah, I'm small fry. This guy's on the next level. I remember speaking to you about how do you get the budgets, and you're like, yeah, I just save for it. And I was working minimum wage at View Cinemas. I was like, I can't afford $5,000, but you know what? I'm the Robert Rodriguez mindset of stuff. That if you ever look at my shorts, I basically steal, cheat, and you know what I mean. I basically get what I have.
That's filmmaking, bro. Absolutely.
Yeah, I get what I have, and I base my stuff around what I have. And
you know
if I get stuff for free, I get stuff for free.
And also, you don't need expensive visual effects to tell a good story. You can tell a good story with two people in a room, right? If it's captivating,
that's right.
It's fantastic. But I remember, my first short was an animated short that I did called Fubar, and that's where I met Dylan, where he just did some insane graphics on there. Like, Dylan's this guy. Like, I still have so much respect for this guy. I don't know how he does it, but everyone would freak out when it'll be like, we'll figure it out. And he's like, that's his whole vibe. I've never seen this guy get pissed.
That's because I freaked him out way back in the day, man. He'd always get a phone call from me with a crazy idea for this. And then the thing is with D-Land, I have the big ideas, and D reins me in and goes, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. And I will push the envelope for his imagination. And then he'll start thinking about it. And then he'll be like, now, you know what, actually, what if we did, you know what I mean? And then you usually get a bigger result than what I'd even have thought of.
But that's the beauty of filmmaking when it's collaborative, right? That absolutely. And then I end up and then while I was in visual effects, I was surrounded by documentary projects like the BBC, Discovery, and History Channel. So I made a fake documentary called Project Kronos, and this is where we met Colin, right?
Yeah,
Colin and Dylan was involved in it, and a whole bunch of people like Georgina, Nolene, all those people that we all know now. They all came on this short film. And Jerome, just so you know, for context, Project Kronos is a fake documentary about putting a human brain in a ball, and we send it out into space. We'll make first contact. How I made it was I downloaded every single footage I can from the NASA website and used a lot of visual effects to do compositing because I couldn't use stuff with the NASA logo on. So I would paint out and put my own stuff, and I would just hire the actors to pretend to be sort of like scientists. So it's kind of like Spinal Tap set in NASA kind of vibe. Yeah. And I did it because I was in that vibe and I wanted to make something that was very cerebral, thought-provoking. And it kind of went viral. It got Vimeo staff pick within like 48 hours, and I was getting called by agents in LA, got signed to a manager, and I was like, oh my God, like I freaking made it. And ended up making 2 other shorts after because you get the bug. I did this short called Sync, which was pretty cool. It was pretty much like Tron Legacy on steroids, but like
you know what I'm gonna put a link. I'm gonna try and put a link out there for Sync because you know what,
I'll send you
out
links,
of all of your shorts, that I think has feature material written all over it. I think you could make a cool action sci-fi out of Sync.
We tried. Like when I got signed to manager in LA, I've still got the script, and I probably will end up doing it. Who knows? Yeah. But when you get signed to a manager, the first thing they ask you is, "What else have you got?" Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you know, I want to do the long version of Project Kronos, but I also have this other film that's like set on Mars about this cube. They go, oh, don't tell us about Mars films. They suck. Last Days of Mars flop. Red Planet flop. Don't bring Mars in this film. I'm like, okay, cool. So several years, like a couple of years later, I'm thinking, I should be making my feature, but I'm not. I'm on the set of a show called Poldark, which is a great show, by the way. But I was a visual effects supervisor on that. I'm like, why am I not making a movie? Like, why am I not doing what Gareth Edwards is doing, or Josh Trank, or Neil Blomkamp? And my manager, my agent, I was reputable agents as well. And they were like, yeah, you know, these things take time. And I'm going to LA quite a lot. And I'm speaking to these other writers and directors in LA. Some of them are Brits. I'm like, so how long are you guys been here? Oh, we've been here for a while. You know, just these things just take time. We go through development hell. I'm like, hell no, I ain't doing development hell. I need to make stuff now. So I took the rights back off from the production company that optioned it. And they do usually give you like some money and you write the rest on spec, but they literally option it to make it film. I'm like, look, this is not going to be made into a feature, clearly. So I'm going to go take that back and I'm going to make it myself. They're like, oh, absolutely, go for it. Yeah, good luck. Do you want any tips? I'm like, yeah, give me some tips. They go, just don't try to make Star Wars on a low budget, please. No matter how talented you think you are, there's a reason why Star Wars costs that much, okay? Think of characters. And they referenced the movie Chronicle quite a bit, actually. Even though Chronicle's got a lot of visual effects. It was a very grounded film about friendship, right? And I thought that in adolescence. And I thought, that was very cool. So I made a checklist, and this is the bit I tell everyone, like, don't try this at home, kids. But like, no, really, don't try this at home. I had some money saved up to buy a house. So I'm like, I mean, I could literally take the deposit money and make this feature. I mean, I know how to make it. I've really got a metrics already with the Vimeo, got like over 1 million views. Like, I can just freaking do this. And telling my partner, and my partner's like, yeah, you could. But like, are you serious? I go, well, you know, we could. And she goes, look, it's very risky, but if you're going to try something, you may as well try it once and just go for it. But like, don't F it up. And when your missus tells you not F it up, that's probably the most pressure you'll get. I mean, I later ended up working for Disney. I ended up working for Tencent later on. That's nothing compared to when your missus is telling you don't F it up. Right? I'm like, okay. So having my own money now, I did not waste a single thing. Nothing was like, let me try that. I storyboard it. I plan everything. But most importantly, I rang up every distribution company. I rang up Lionsgate, Paramount, like Blumhouse. I rang up everyone and said, hey, do you remember me? I had a general meeting. And he goes, yeah, how's it going? Okay, I'm making my first feature. Cool, who's financing it? I'm like, I am. They're like, okay, well, maybe we should give you some hard truths. And they told me brutally, like, don't do this, don't do that. Focus on these things. And I phoned up distributors and said, what are you guys looking for in 2 years' time? Because I knew it would take this amount of time to make a film and get it out. What are you guys looking for? I go, well, we want sci-fi. We definitely want sci-fi. It's a massive bubble at the moment and we can see it. But we're interested in cerebral science fiction. We're interested in aliens. We love AI. We love all of those robots and all that. So I had this like checklist. I'm like, I'm trying to get some of that stuff in my film. Can I paint my numbers? Long story short, the film comes out 2018 and it's called The Beyond. And it was number 2 in iTunes charts next to Blade Runner 2049, ironically, and Wonder Woman. Wow. And then in April, you get your sales report back, the distribution company called Gravitas Ventures. And the distribution company was like, we had to double check the numbers because I'm like, oh shit, oh no. Yeah, we had to check those numbers because like you're like 400% in profit. If your movie cost that much, this is how much you've made minus our commission. I'm like, oh. And they're like, we don't know what it is you're doing because it makes no freaking sense. Because I mean, the movie's great, but it's not freaking like, it's not District 9. And I realized I'd made the movie a perfect timing. I made a movie where there was demand for found footage film. There was a demand for like the grungy kind of like, voyeuristic type films, right? And I did a shit ton of marketing. I mean, Sash, you know me. I'm a whore when it comes on LinkedIn, man. And I wrote to every single magazine, every single visual effects magazine, and they love the underdog story of like visual effects artist and director, like Gary Fotos and Josh Trank and so on, Neil Blomkamp. So I kind of wrote that, and my manager was like pushing it out as well. And then in September, we get a call from Netflix going, what is this film? This everyone keeps talking about The Beyond, The Beyond, The Beyond. It's like this auteur mockumentary film. Why is this not on Netflix? And this is Netflix like back in the day, not Netflix today. And they're like, here's a check. And believe me, it covered more than like the budget of the film. And we'll have it non-exclusive for Netflix, America, Canada, UK, Europe, like all the best territories. And again, it was number 2 in the Netflix chart. Guys, I screenshot the hell of all that out of this stuff. I just screenshot. I'm like, no one's going to believe me. So I screenshot all that stuff. All that stuff is great. And then from there, do you remember I told you when I was pitching about movies and then everyone said, don't pitch a Mars movie? Well, Ridley Scott did a movie called The Martian. So in that time, it did really well. So all those studios go, hey, you know that movie we passed on about the Mars? Do you still have it by any chance? I'm like, yeah. And that movie became Origin Unknown with the lovely Katie Sackhoff I got to work with, who's now Bo-Katan and a bunch of other stuff in Star Wars.
What was it like working with Katie Sackhoff? Because that's one I saw, and she owns the screen on that.
It's her movie, literally. It's fantastic. It's funny. She wasn't really going to be the person. We were actually originally going to get Kiefer Sutherland to be in it. So
whoa,
that's a complete change of character.
And sorry.
That's complete change of like a different type of person.
I mean, 100%. Like, you gotta remember, like, my first film, The Beyond, is a guerrilla movie. It's like, Sash, as you called it, a Rodriguez type movie, right? I'll do anything to make that movie. Original 9 was what you call a proper movie. It was like 1.5 mil, not that much, but still 1.5 mil. For me, it's like, oh my God, I can do so much of that. And you have producers, you have a film set, you have a casting director, it's a bonded film, insurance, all of that stuff's in there, right? So they were originally going to go for Keith Sutherland, and we had Tim Roth as well read the script, and they liked it because they passed. Tim Roth passed because it just wasn't for him, but he was interested. Keith Sutherland passed because he was going to work on the show called Designated Survivor. So he couldn't do it. So then I was like, guys, I think we're going about this wrong way. Like, if you look at all of my shorts and short films, and also all like my last movie, they're very much female protagonists. Not that I have mommy issues or anything, but I love characters like Sarah Connor from Terminator. I love Ripley from Alien. So why don't we go for a female protagonist? Maybe that's kind of like my vibe. And Katie Sackhoff somehow got the script, read it, and her thing was, I do not want to talk to the producers. I just want to talk to the director and the writer, which I was the writer at the time before we brought on Gary, who's his other writer, to do a polish. So I remember jumping on the call. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be talking to Starbuck. Oh my God. And my producer's like, do not tell them how you make your first film, which is very guerrilla. This is a proper movie. Actors want to know. They're working with directors. I know what they're doing, what they're talking about. I'm like, okay, this is cool. So I'm having a conversation with Katie, and like within like 10 minutes, you totally forget she's Katie Sackhoff. She's just like the most loveliest human being. We're talking about life and stuff, right? And then like it goes like 2 hours having a Skype. Do you remember Skype? We're having Skype conversation. And she goes, okay, well, look, I'm in New Zealand at the moment, and I know the time difference is quite harsh on your end. Just answer me this question, HaZ. Why should I make this movie? And at this moment, I'm like, oh man, whatever I'm going to say, either balls it up or I get the movie. So I'm like, in my head, I'm running all these like freaking simulations in my head thinking, I could say this is going to like, this is going to be a big comeback for you since Battlestar Galactica. Because she was in Pitch Black, right? But she had never done a sci-fi after Pitch Black. She was in some other TV shows. So I was like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to speak from the heart. Since like I feel like she's that sort of person. So I'm like, okay, you play Starbuck in Battlestar and you're a badass. She's like, yeah. I'm like, you play a character in Chronicles of Riddick, you're a badass. She goes, okay, what's your point, HaZ? And my point is, you play a badass in every single thing that you do. In this show, you're not going to play a badass at all. You're a weak, vulnerable human being that's trying to figure out the future of humanity. You're in this room with just a robot. Think Flight the Navigator, but you're the adult, not a kid. Oh, and the whole film rests on your shoulder. You carry the entire film. And she's like, I've never done this stuff before. This is insane. I go, yeah, and I think that's why you should do it. And she goes, okay, I'll have a think about it. At this point, I'm like, she's not going to fucking be on this film. A couple of days later, I get a text message from my producer, Anise, and he's like, call me now. I'm like, oh boy, I gotta get mine. He goes, what did you say to her? I'm like, I mean, I was trying to be, and he goes, it doesn't matter. She's in. I don't know what you said. I don't care what you said, but she's in. I'm like, oh shit, and that's how we got her.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And she was amazing to work with. She's like probably one of the most collaborative actors, because you think someone of her status, like she'll come in like really be demanding, but she's no, like every day we'll be doing like rehearsals, like Skype rehearsal, because she was like shooting other stuff, and because it was like a lower budget film, we couldn't grab her for like full rehearsals, so we'll go through the script. She would end up rewriting stuff on the script, rewriting dialogue. I freaking love that. And like every morning we'll be the first one on the set, sitting on the floor while everyone's building the rest of the, rigging the lights and everything, and we'll just go through and banter and go through stuff, try things out. And it was probably the most collaborative filmmaking I'd done, because like at this point it's such a vulnerable movie for an actress to bare her soul on. Like it's all her. And I remember that there's one scene where she breaks down and cries, and dude, I did not want to say, let's do another take. It was pretty intense. So I'm like, yeah, I think we got it. Move on.
Yeah, we're getting someone to cry on cue and stuff. That takes a lot out of them, and then they got to recharge that whole thing. Yeah,
I have so much respect for actors. Like really, I don't know how they're able to remember their lines, long ass monologues, and know where their mark is on the thing and know where to look, take direction notes. I don't know how they do it. I have so much respect for them.
Really you know what? That you just reminded me of like Spielberg's new movie.
Disclosure.
That one scene where she's talking another language.
So crazy, right?
and it was the Oneer. It was the
Oneer.
Spielberg Oneer,
Yeah.
and was it Emily Blunt?
It was Emily Blunt. Yeah,
Emily Blunt was fantastic
So
in
good,
it.
right?
That Oneer is, and that performance right there, that was just that blew my mind. That literally blew my mind. Well, and the thing was, you could say it's Spielberg with the Oneer, but she was she was fantastic. She was fucking magnificent.
That's probably the best performance I've seen. That I think it's the best performance I've seen of her. Especially recently.
Wow.
But yeah, so after Origin Unknowns, you start doing TV series with Disney. What was that like?
I'm not going to work at the Mouse. So what happened for that was, they do trailers, right? And then they do these little 30-second bumper spots where it's like 30-second, have a click and it goes, coming soon to a cinema near you. And there's one bumper spot where Katie is kind of looking emotional. This robot comes down. It's kind of like Flight and Navigate. It's very emotional. And it's like, it's a really cool scene, actually, especially from the side shot. And some executive at Disney rang up my manager at the time, and he's like, hey, this director you rep that's on your book, he knows how to direct actors and CGI. Really compelling. I mean, I thought that was the job, but apparently it's a thing. And my manager goes, listen, Disney would love to speak to you. They've got this thing. I'm going to email it to you now. It's a one-pager. And the one-pager was basically, it was a talking car. It's a show about these two 12-year-old girls find a talking car in the shed, and they find out that the talking car is an AI that the military are trying to exploit. And they go on the set of adventures. Very Amblin. It was very Steven Spielberg's Amblin, very Goonies. And I'm like, oh my God, I connect with this. It was like Knight Rider meets the Goonies. It was like, and that was essentially my pitch. So I'm like, oh my God. So instead of saying, oh my God, yeah, I'd love to have a meeting. I don't do this now, obviously, but I was like, I'll be back in a few days. Give me a few days. I'm going to do a big pitch deck. And the manager, wait, what? And I hang up. I spend like 3 days or 4 days. I do that. And this is like no AI or anything back then, right? So you have to go to Pinterest and get all these images, comp them. I create this 50-page deck. I did little previs, and this is based on a one-pager. And I said to my manager, go, okay, this is very impressive, but a simple yes or no will suffice. But sure, I'll send it all to Disney, you crazy nutter. So sent it over to Disney, and this is freaking cool. Can we jump on a call? And so we jump on the Zoom, and the first thing the Disney execs are like, we pay people to do this stuff, right? We have what you call development concept teams. And how did you come up with all this stuff? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's not every day I get a pitch at Disney. So I thought I'll just give it my best. Because, well, this is great. Can you come over to LA? So I went over to LA. This was the time when the Beyond was being released. I was going to go to LA, do promotion and all that stuff, right? And I go there, and it was supposed to be a small meeting. It's going to be a tiny meeting. Just the exec and the showrunner want to meet you. It wasn't a tiny meeting, guys. It was like this long-ass room. Some poor intern printed out my pitch deck, laminated it. It was like the whole thing. The room was full up with people. I'm like, and the exec at the time, a guy called Rafael Garcia, who's now vice president of Disney Entertainment, he was an exec, and he goes, yeah, don't worry, man, you'll be fine. It's just a tiny meeting. I'm like, that looks like a whole freaking room. It looks like a buffet is about to happen. What the hell, guys? Oh, look, it's fine, but just let you know, they're all excited to see you. But it's just one little caveat I just think I mentioned before you go in. I'm like, oh yeah, see that miserable looking guy in the corner? I'm like, yeah, him. Yeah, what about him? He goes, yeah, he's the showrunner. He's not kind of convinced you can do comedy because he's seen your stuff and he thinks it's not, it's not appropriate. It's very dark sci-fi. I'm like, no shit. What you got me here for? But we believe in you. So go in there and say something funny, as if I'm Ricky Gervais or something. I'm like, okay. So I'm going in there. I'm avoiding comedy. Like head of productions, how do you make your days? How you hit your budgets and stuff? Have you had experience working in visual effects? How do you take notes? And I'm like acing all the questions. I'm like, just going great. No one's asked me comedy. And then the showrunner, Matt Dearborn, who's now a really close friend of mine, he was like, HaZ, can I call you HaZ? I'm like, sure. He goes, all I want to know is, I know you can make this thing look good. I know you can do that. All I want is, can you do comedy? I'm like, wow, it's kind of subjective. And he was like, okay, we'll take a page from the script that I freaking read on a plane, by the way, because it was all NDA to hell, and describe how you would make that funny. Dude, at this point, I'm not getting this freaking job, right? I mean, this is stupid. Like, what? So I'm like, I'm just going to go out in style. So I kind of tune out. I get my little red iPhone, and there's a car chase scene. So there's a scene in the car, in the script, where they're in a car. And the idea is there's these two protagonists. One's a 12-year-old girl called Lane, and she's an overachiever. She's like the president of the school, and she's like, we can't do this. This is illegal. And then you have this other girl who's the next door neighbor called Zora, and she's like, chill, man. If we do it, we do it. If we don't, we don't. Very hippie. Get them two together. And I basically pitched like this big car chase. There's helicopters, police sirens, it's fucking Michael Bay S-type shot with the heat haze. I pitched this whole thing. They jump the bridge, it's all in slow-mo. The camera comes in, popcorn flies. Doesn't matter where the popcorn is, it's a movie. That kind of, I do this whole monologue and scene. Everyone's like, and it was just like clapping. I'm like, okay, they're just fucking laughing at me. I walk out. Raphael runs up. Goes, hey, by the way, that was really cool, man. That was awesome. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that before. The whole awesome thing. This is the US, right? I go, no, seriously, we're right now just figuring out to get your visa. And yeah, and by the way, guys, my pitch in the room before I did my monologue, which is why I thought I wasn't going to get a job. I'm like, this is Lethal Weapon meets Bad Boys for kids. I mean, 2 of the most R-rated film in a Disney room. So I'm like, what am I doing? Why did I do that? I'm such an idiot. But it worked because they got it. Yeah, and I ended up going to Vancouver, and I had no idea, but I was actually being put to direct the pilot. I had no idea how important a pilot was. You know, I was like, I mean, I've done television as a VFX supervisor, but a pilot is like you set the tone for the entire show. The pilot determines whether the rest of the series gets greenlit. I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea. And then once I did that, that was all in Vancouver. I was hired to do the first blocks, episode 1 and 2. It's an 8-part miniseries. They saw the dailies and they go, listen, like, this is cool. Can you stay on and do the last block? I'm like, yeah, I would love to do the last block. But what do I do in between? They go, oh, yeah, you're going to be an exec producer. And me being rookie, I'm like, do I get to go to the writer's room? They're like, okay, it's not what you think it is, but sure, you come to the writer's room. And yeah, it wasn't a glamorous thing. It was just a bunch of people on laptops. But I was like in a writer's room. And then from there, while I was in post-production, all in Vancouver, I was in Vancouver like 7 months or something. I had to be part of what you call the Directors Guild of Canada. Because here's the thing. There's another rookie thing. Coming from a short film, you do everything, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of car chases in there. And obviously my thing is car chases. That's why I got the job. They go, yeah, so we have a second unit director who's going to direct all the car chases. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know that, sure. So I'm like, here's all my storyboards, here's all my previs. I did all these previs in Maya to show it. And Disney were like, shit, there's no way we're going to keep it consistent. So Disney being Disney, actually got the Canadian government to give me Directors Guild of Canada for me to shoot second unit. Because legally, as a Brit, you can't go shoot second unit because of the tax breaks reasons. You've got to be a talent. But they made an exception for me. And there's some behind the scenes footage of me giggling like a little freaking girl. So one of things we use what you call a Russian arm, which is an SUV with a big massive like crane. Michael Bay pretty much uses that, and there's a lot of if there's ever behind the scenes footage, I'll find you can hear me quoting Michael Bay. Get the Michael Bay shot. Get that teal. Get that shadow. And at one point, one exec walked on the set and goes, this doesn't feel like a Disney show. I mean, there's kids, but this feels like a Michael Bay movie because there's a lot of action going on here. And there's all this like really crazy camera. And I remember one thing I wanted to do, which I saw the movie Crank with Jason Statham, which I think is a freaking. I don't know, you've seen it, Jerome?
I've seen it. I'm just wondering how you're going from Crank and Lethal Weapon all the way to a kid show.
Oh, you're here. So I was obsessed with that film, but I was more obsessed about the making of that film, how they shot that film on rollerblades and stuff, right? So there's this scene that I pitched to Disney, like there's a car chase, and then the camera goes from the car underneath the truck that's going here and reveals the other car on the other side as a big oneer, right? And they're like, oof, that's really expensive. Like, we need to get motion control, we need to get a rig, we need to get a stunt coordinator. I mean, that's a lot of money, HaZ. We're talking at least $300,000 just to like get this going. I'm like, oh, I have an idea if you don't mind. And this is the whole the cinematographer there. It's the whole production meeting. They're like, yeah, sure. Rookie director, what's your idea? I'm like, I was thinking you just get a radio control car and a GoPro and you do it. They were like, that is the most lo-fi guerrilla thing we've ever heard. We don't do things like that here. Meanwhile, the cinematographer and the first AD were like, that's a freaking genius idea, man. You watched Crank, didn't you? I'm like, yeah. He goes, we're going to freaking shoot it. We'll put the exec over there. You only had 20 minutes and we shot it guerrilla. I know, Disney, right? And the editor put it in and no one questioned it to the point that even made it in the trailer. No one questioned it. It was a GoPro shot. They were just so obsessed because they thought, oh, GoPro, it's not the same. And that's the thing about big studio mentality, right? They just have this thing that, oh, you got to spend money. Whereas I came from the guerrilla way of making films, an independent way. And that's why I always tell everyone that wants to make movies, like, make tiny things. Like, do what you did, Sash. Like, do whatever it takes to make stuff because that still follows you. That will save you shit ton of money later on, even though you got bigger budgets.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree. I agree with that sentiment. So pivoting, obviously,
Yeah, we need to
from
move
that
on.
point, we dude. I was telling Jerome, we'll talk to him a little bit about his film stuff, and then we'll get to the game stuff.
Just looking for the
You've
drop-off
given us
pointers
the
to go
whole
into
outline
it.
there, and now we're getting to the pivot. But you know what? It's really strange. Around this time, you were there. Last time I heard you were out filming your Disney stuff because I think we touched base just before you went out, and then I'm at Gamescom.
Yeah.
And you're at Gamescom. I'm waving our Antstream flag, but I was either at Samsung because we had a partnership. I was at Samsung. Yeah, I was at Samsung, and then you just came up, and I was like, it's like what? And then obviously all of our other friends in the games industry, like Ibs and my brother, and they were like, you guys had your meetups and stuff, and you know, me and him had to go to Dusseldorf because we were staying in Dusseldorf. So,
which is also funny because I don't think I met any of your friends, Sasha, and I'm somewhere else. I'm like in the Xbox section, and then I come back and you're saying, "Oh, look, I met all these people," and it's like, who? Where are these people?
I was having the time of my life at Gamescom that year, man. But like, was it? I did it 2 years in a row. You were there for 2 years in a row as well, weren't you, HaZ? So I think I saw
Yes,
you.
I did. I did 2 years. This year's the only year I'm not going to Gamescom.
Oh, okay. I don't know yet. I don't think we are, but there's too much work on. But yeah, so I see at Gamescom and you're pitching something. I'm like, what are you pitching? And obviously, this was post-COVID. What was the transition for Moon? What happened with Moontopia for Fortnite?
Okay, so
what was
so basically 2019, my career was on a height. Like as I told you, live action. I even did something called Descendants, by the way, which is this big, massive Disney franchise. And I was like, oh my God, this is it, man. That's it. I'm the director for hire. This is it. And then COVID hit. All live action, but all of my film projects I had like in development got put on hold, and budgets pulled off, financiers go, it's the end of the world, we don't put our money in film anymore, and everything just paused. I'm like, oh my God. And weeks went by, I'm like, you know what, this is boring, man. I need to make stuff. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do some previs. And there's a Wes Ball. So the director Wes Ball.
Wes Ball doing The Legend of Zelda.
He's doing Legend of Zelda, of course.
He's doing Legend of Zelda.
I actually knew of him before Maze Runner. He had done a short film, Ruin, I think it was called. It looked like Maze Runner, literally. And I remember I was on the forum chatting to him and stuff. And then later on, the manager that repped me repped him. And they were like, yeah, he's using this thing called Unreal Engine to do this previs. I'm like, what? He's using the game engine? That's fucking crazy. So I downloaded Unreal Engine 4, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, with cameras, I'm doing all this stuff. And in pure social media PR way, slut way, I'm posting all this stuff, all of my tests on LinkedIn, on Instagram. And eventually some people from Epic Games go, hey, I love the stuff you're doing. Like, we've got this thing called Mega Grants. Do you want to apply for it? I'm like, yeah. And I applied for one, I got two, and ended up making a full animated feature film in Unreal 4 called Max Beyond, which essentially is that Kira meets the Raid. And that came out in Sky Movies, like in 2024. But then from there, when I was making that, I ended up at Rebellion Games, working on Evil Genius 2 as a cinematics director with Jason Kingsley. And this is where virtual production became big, you know, the whole LED wall and stuff. Yeah. And Rebellion were showcasing. They had bought all these big stages. They were moving into film.
Yeah, because they started doing their own stuff, with the 2000 AD IP. I do believe massive. Rogue Troopers, the first feature that's coming out.
Duncan Jones, exactly. Yeah. And they're doing Mega City 1 as well, or they're trying to anyway. So I remember being there, and Jason's like, well, we've got this big, massive stage. We've got this big, massive LED wall. We've got like 3 days with it. Netflix and Amazon were coming in to use it to test this. They're doing test shots, right? Because why don't we, in pure Jason Kingsley stuff, why don't we make our own stuff? We should make our own films. Who's directed a movie before? HaZ, you have. I know you directed movies. You're going to direct this. I'm going to star in it. And yeah, it was him in his big knight in silver, you know, swords and armor and all of that stuff. And we shot it. It was in a virtual forest, and it got like 1 million views. It was massive. But I ended up directing virtual production, and again, like from there, I got a call from Funcom, and they were like, "So you work in live action? You also are very hands-on in Unreal, the sequence of cameras and stuff. Do you want to work on this thing called Dune Awakening?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I do!" And it was supposed to be like a few months. Became a year, became 2 years, became 3.5 years. So 3.5 years working on Dune Awakening. But I had my own animation company at the time called Hasmation at the time. And at the time, I was doing a lot of Fortnite because Unreal Engine and Fortnite had come together to create something called UEFN, and it was actually announced on that Gamescom that we bumped into each other at the Epic thing. So I remember thinking, oh my god, like this is crazy. I could bring the world of Unreal into Fortnite, and I'm not even a Fortnite player. And I end up becoming the first original third-party IP to be in Fortnite called Moontopia. And this is why it's so important to get there first. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm not too sure is this going to work. I'm going to wait till it hangs. I'm like, I'm going in there, man. I'm going to play this. Like, it's janky as hell. It breaks. It doesn't matter. But Epic loved that stuff. They're like, oh my god, we're going to promote it. We're going to put it on. And I end up, and Gamescom end up showing Moontopia. But what's funny, Sasha, I don't think I told you, but you know when I chatted to you and Fortnite were running all the Samsung machines, I actually typed in the Moontopia code and it went on quite a lot of the machines. A lot of the Samsung screens had Moontopia. I'm like, thank you, Sasha. He's not going to notice that. So yeah, but from there, and that's how I found myself going full circle into the world of video games, because I was able to bring film, TV, and the power of Unreal Engine. And I just loved Unreal. And working on Dune, I thought was going to be like, oh, it's just a video game cinematic. I would say it's the biggest thing I ever worked on my entire career. Like Disney is the Disney shows I did, tiny compared to Dune Awakening. That project was a massive undertaking. There's thousands of people working on that. There's like 8 directors on there. There's a narrative director. There's 2 game directors. There's the creative director. There's the world director. There's the cinematics director. Me. You get a bunch of directors in the room. You know what you get, right?
Yeah. Squabbles.
Oh yeah. But at the same time, it was the most ambitious thing because we're using Unreal 4. And we've all seen the films. There's a lot of sand, right? And sand particles in real time, 60 frames per second. Long cinematics. That's very lore-driven. It's very hard. Very, very hard. Yeah. But we put it off.
So, from June and Moontopia, back to retro.
Yes.
Bringing it back to retro. How did you go from all these big teams to... I heard a rumor, team of 4?
What for this game?
For this game?
Wow.
Originally it was just me, dude, and then it became a team of 4.
Oh wow. That's amazing. So with the retro, let's go.
Okay, well first off, I mean I'm obsessed with games like this. Like I've got this I'm obsessed with I don't play like emulators and stuff. I play hardcore upload.
Oh, Axley.
Oh yeah, Axley. Dude, I got this. Parodius.
Oh.
Got Poppin' Twin B. Now these games I was playing a lot, right? And when I took a break from June, and I thought myself, why don't we make games that way anymore? Where just a couple of people in a room, because I was that kid that would buy the magazines, type the code, get a syntax error on my Atari ST, and retype it just to get a freaking graphic to come up, right? And I think I miss those days, and I miss the days of David Studios where everyone was just getting together, just doing stuff to get a result out. There wasn't this crazy politics that you have, and so I didn't want to go and make like a cinematic game. I'd been exhausted by that point. So I'm like, so just to kind of tie me over, I'm just gonna like make a side scroller, shoot 'em up. So I was gonna make my own version of R-Type, and I realized trying to make a side scroller shooter in Unreal is more work than it is, because you want to move something up, down, left, right in 2D, but you compile it. It compiles MetaHuman, Nanite. It does all these big things. It's not designed for 2D. It's a 3D photo-based rendering engine. So I'm like, I need to change the tools I'm using. So I looked around. I'm like, shit, I'm a really crappy coder. I can't code C++ or anything like that. Then I remembered I used to make, at uni, I used to make Flash games. And I thought, I get action scripting. So there's this engine called GDevelop. It's free, open source, and you only pay 70 quid a year if you want to do the exports to Steam and all the bigger stuff. So I started learning it. Like, I started getting a sprite of a spaceship, moved it, fire a bullet, that kind of thing. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I looked at my cat. I'm like, I'm a cat man, as you know. So I'm like, wouldn't it be great if I kind of took the Star Fox route? Like, it's a side-scroller shoot 'em up, but features my cat as opposed to like Star Fox. So I did that. And very early on, I started testing. I went to one of the early develops last year. I showcased it. And just because this is the beauty about video games that I love, is the fact that you can make something and people will rip it apart. And then you go back and you go and recode it. You come back and say, hey guys, I've patched the game. You go, we love you. It's amazing. You can't do that for a movie. You do a movie and it flops. Goodbye. Director's jail.
Too much.
Pretty much, right? I mean, look, full disclosure, like my animated film, like Max Beyond, the Unreal Engine one, which was like going to be a sure winner, right? It flopped massively. It was a commercial bomb. And the reason why it's a commercial bomb, when you release an animated CG film at the same time as Secret Level or the last season of Love, Death and Robots, you're screwed. So that's what happened. So I was like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. So I end up like early testing the game. And then all of a sudden I really started to think, you know what? There's a lot of streamers. And that's the other thing. I got into the world of streaming massively. And a lot of these streamers were playing the game and then putting the game down. I'm like, oh man, how bad's the game? Go, oh no, we only played the game for one reason. We saw the cute cat on the poster, but then we realized it's a spaceship with a cat. And it doesn't really appeal to us. Then I was thinking, God, like I need to make the game more cute. I need to make it more appealing to females and to everyone, not just like hard. Because you know the shmup genre, which I very quickly learned, it's a brutal genre because the audience are hardcore.
Oh, they're very
Play the Dariuses, the R-Types, the Truxted. They're hardcore. They memorize all that bullet. There are rules in place for that stuff. I didn't know that. I learned the hard way. So I'm like, shit, you know, I went back to the drawing board and I started just looking at this game, Parodius. I'm like, I'm going to play this game. And I realized Parodius is a shoot 'em up. But it's not a shoot 'em up, but it's a shoot 'em up. And then I realized I got the instruction. That's what I love about these games. You get the instruction manual, right? You open it, you go, oh, great artwork. But in my case, it's all in freaking Japanese. So I got Google Translate the page, and a word came up, cute 'em up. I'm like, that's what I'm going to make. I'm not going to make a shoot 'em up. I'm going to make a cute 'em up because a cute 'em up is still a shoot 'em up mechanically, except instead of big giant spaceships, you got a cute animal flying around. Instead of like massive missiles and plasma bombs and stuff, you got cute little fruits and bells like in Poppin' Twin B. And instead of big giant massive robots, that robot overlords taking over Earth, you got big giant pandas or mermaids. So I'm like, this is the most batshit crazy thing, and it could work today. This was niche back in the day because we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have a meme culture, right? This launched today. This will be meme culture. I'm like, this is going to be the one. So I ended up doing that. But before changing it, I ended up doing some tests. So I did a screenshot, put it on social media. Everyone's like, oh my God, that's funny. A panda on the mech. That's hilarious. Then I swapped that spaceship for a cat. And they go, oh, that's hilarious. Then I went to Canada to do this shoot on this virtual production thing. And I met this art director who's Japanese. And he was like, that reminds me of Parodius. He called it Parodius Da, because that's the Japanese name for it. I'm like, oh my God, you know this game? He goes, oh my God, I grew up playing this game. I'm like, and then he goes, by the way, I played your game. It's a bit janky, by the way, but I mean, he didn't hold his words back. But I did this little fan art for you. I looked at the fan art. I'm like, bro, I don't know how, but you've got to be the art director on this game. And he came on and he became the art director of the game, and it helped shape the identity of the game. That's why the game's got this very Japanese kind of vibe to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had a chance to actually play the demo and have a good feel of the game. So I can see you actually had two different editions in there. You have like the one in color and then the one which is called, was it Meow? Yeah. hilarious name. So yeah, and then you also have the arcade and story. I actually had a chance to play with the story, and that was pretty good. Nice. Yeah, but you had the arcade mode, which I'm guessing is more specific to those bullet hell, those kind of people that love those shooters.
Originally, it was pure story mode. I'm glad you picked that up. Basically, when we were testing it, we do a lot of play testing. We do a lot of play testing online, but also I go to a lot of events, a lot of game events, right? And some Comic Cons. And you get the hardcore shmup players, like the 45-plus-year-olds are like, yeah, we don't care about story. We want bullet hell pattern. We want to be able to like do all this crazy stuff. We want to clear the screen. I'm like, oh my God, I can't cater for this. You know what? I can fix this. 2 modes, story, arcade mode. You guys play arcade, cozy story gamers, play that mode. It was a great fix. The monochromatic mode, actually, it's interesting you brought that up. That wasn't even supposed to be a mode. I'm a big fan of trying to at least try my best to get accessibility features in the game, you know, like to help with disability. This is why we have auto fire, so you can play the game with one hand if you want, right? Literally. Okay. But one of the things I wanted to do was I had a few colorblind player friends of mine. That worked in visual effects for me, by the way. So I don't know how they managed to get through visual effects, but their shots were perfect. So I think the whole red and green spectrum just seems to be better, like a superpower. And they go, oh, this game's great, but it's visually overwhelming and overstimulated for us. Like, it's just too much going on, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. So I then create this version where, using some code, we would remove the background, create all of the bullets, all in code, high contrast, and just really make things that matter high contrast and things that don't matter less contrast. And I did that, and I put it out there. And this is during early access. Again, can't do that. I mean, you can't early access your movie, right? You can early access your game. It's fantastic. And everyone that played it, I mean, obviously the colorblind players gave notes, they liked it, but a lot of people going, this is like an art style of its own. This is a really cool art style. Then I'm thinking, yeah, that is, but I can't really change the art style now because everyone's seen the colors. And I signed to a publisher like 4 months before release, like 5 months before releasing. My publisher, Pixel Doors, goes, yeah, it's a really good style. I don't think you should change the style. I mean, it just keeps its accessibility toggle switch. I'm like, yeah, but it's such a shame you have to like toggle it. And then I was going through my DVD collection. Sasha, I know you got a massive DVD collection as well, and Blu-ray collection. And I saw one of my special edition of Mad Max Fury, and it had the Chrome edition. I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do Mad Max Fury Chrome edition, and that's why you got it at the front.
So it's interesting you say that. Yeah, I was thinking of Ghost of Tsushima, who did the same thing when they have a black and white version. So that's what I was thinking. It's like, oh, that's a cool mode to have. Yeah, it does.
It feels different. It's more than just a visual thing. It actually feels like you're playing a different game, but not. So yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you picked that up. Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. Well, Astro Burn should be out soon. When does it?
It's already out, bro.
It's already out.
Yeah, so it came out last Thursday.
Okay.
It came out on Steam and GOG. IGN and put the trailer yesterday, and it's been. I always worry about IGN and trailers because comments are like they're very brutal. Like I remember the first trailer IGN put out, it was like there was mixed up. I even had some people say I use AI for my thing. I'm like, I didn't use AI. I specifically chose not to because I don't want to get freaking pitchfork. I may as well use AI in this case if you all think. But no, this time, every single comment, they reference Cute 'em up. They go, oh, this is like cotton. This is like popping Twin B. I'm like, oh my God. In fact, there's not a single negative. I'm like, I think I've hit the jackpot this time. And the reason why I feel like I've made a good game now is because I listened to the audience. I put my ego aside and said, you know what? Listen to now. You can't address every single friggin' note. You absolutely can't. But when you do address it, and you go on Steam comments, and go, hey, by the way, whoever commented about the collision hitbox is not working, well, we fixed it. Check it out. They feel like they've been part of the process, and they'll thank you for it, and they tell their friends about it. And that's what I love about the games industry. It's that connectivity with the community, which you do not get in film and TV.
Yeah, there's definitely a resurgence of smaller games, especially these indie games, compared to the big AAAs out there, where you're able to go with the community, early access, as you say, being able to listen to them and make changes as you go. I think you releasing on Steam and GOG as well.
Yeah.
But you also got a physical edition coming out soon, right? I think I saw something about that.
Correct. So the physical edition is interesting because I have a digital publisher, right? So the publisher owns, he's in charge for releasing on Steam, Switch, Xbox, and so on. But they don't own the rights to merch and anything else that's physical. And this physical publisher is boutique company called 33 Games, which is fairly new. Just were following me on TikTok, and he just reached out to me. It's a guy called Steven, who's the CEO. He goes, man, I love your game, Astro Burn. I played it, by the way. And also, I just love the vibe of it. If you ever think about doing a physical release, we should talk. I'm like, well, we should talk now, because I'm kind of like a little bit fed up with Steam a little bit, because Steam is a bit of an ocean in terms of visibility for indies. It's extremely
there's a lot of games. Yeah,
there's just too many games. There are amazing games that get hidden, right? So I'm like, there's got to be another way of doing this. So I'm physical, and so what we end up doing is we end up building this Super NES style cartridge. Not exactly Super NES. I don't want Nintendo suing me, but it's kind of Super NES style cartridge with a USB thing that slots out, and it's basically a DRM-free USB with a Mac and PC installer. It means that you don't need Steam GOG. You can install it wherever you want. It's cool. It comes with a little art book. We did a vinyl. We did the whole thing. And we did a Kickstarter campaign. We're like, you know what? Let's just test the theory. We're not drinking our Kool-Aid thinking everyone wants physical here. We did a Kickstarter, and we managed to hit our target and 156% over within 15 days. We're like, oh, shit, people want this. And then, not long ago, Sony announced they're not doing physical media. And all of a sudden, GamesBeat, which is one of the biggest games industry website, talks about Astro Burn and talks about physical. So
that's perfect timing. Yeah.
Thank you, Sony. So we're doing a physical, and we're doing a mobile. In fact, the mobile version comes out end of this month, and we're doing Android and iOS because, may as well. It's all about as many people playing the game as possible. Yeah.
Is there any talks with Sony and Xbox or the big one, Nintendo, about trying to get on?
Well, Nintendo is a bit of a nightmare to get their stuff on the Switch, but Xbox have been phenomenal. In fact, I've been part of the ID at Xbox program for a good number of years now, and they've been very supportive. The only issue we've got at the moment is our engine that we're using, G-Develop, is a little bit tricky to port onto console, because most consoles need C++ or C#, right? And the engine I'm using is essentially JavaScript, right? Can be done, just takes a bit longer. So I think Xbox will be the first console that we release on, which would be interesting because Xbox is going through a whole thing at the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we get a Game Bar still, who knows? But definitely Xbox would be first console. Nintendo Switch is something that we've been asked, especially when we speak to Japanese publishers. It all depends on how well the sales do before it justify. We actually have a PlayStation store already. So if you actually go to your PlayStation store and type in ASTRO BURN, you'll see ASTRO BURN on the PlayStation store. Our publishers already put it on there. Whether we get it on a PlayStation hardware is a whole different thing. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so moving on from HaZ. HaZ been great. We're going into our main, our second segment of the podcast now, which is mainly Antstream related. I guess the first thing everyone's going to ask us is like, is ASTRO BURN coming on Antstream?
I would love for it to be.
Oh, you'd love to? We'd love to have you.
We should definitely talk about it, because here's the thing: like, I've followed Antstream for a long time.
I know,
What you guys are doing is very good. Look, here's the thing: there's one thing going on to like Internet Archive and downloading a bunch of ROMs and playing it, but there's another thing of going to a platform like a Netflix. Like, you guys are the Netflix of retro gaming, in my opinion, and to be able to like play it legally, licensed as well, that's a whole different. That's respectful, right? So I have a lot of respect for that. And you guys are always getting like new titles all the time. You like Bobble Bobble on there.
Yeah.
Played like last week. And I'm always finding like obscure games on there that I'd never heard of. I'm like, ooh, this is cool. Because here's the thing, right? You go to a ROM site, you just get ROMs and stuff.
Yeah.
But with you guys, you get the description. You've got like the poster art. It really feels like it's a curated site. So yeah, I would love to get ASTRO BURN. And the thing is that ASTRO BURN is like 300 meg. It's a tiny game. I mean, obviously not as tiny as some of the games got on.
We'll see if we could get that to happen. We've got obviously it's not in my decision making. we need to speak to higher ups and stuff. But we'll talk after the podcast for sure.
Absolutely.
Regarding that. What was I going to say? Speaking of your Antstream experience, what are your favorite games on Antstream?
I play a lot of the shmups, of course.
Yeah.
But also, there's some really weird, obscure... Like, obviously, Bubble Bubble I play a lot, because it's just one of those games you just go... You just kill time. God, what was the other... I think it's... oh, my God. I'm blanking now. Dizzy, I think it was called. Something Dizzy.
Yeah,
Dizzy
where we used to have it on the platform. When we first started, we used to have all of those games. Yeah.
No.
So,
did you manage to play Operation Wolf? Because you mentioned you played it. Yeah.
Of course,
the
that was
arcade
one of the first
version.
games I looked into. Yeah, and also I've seen places like Evercade do like stuff on cartridge, and they've got Operation Wolf on there as well. But I mean, you guys are on PlayStation or Xbox as well?
We're on
everything.
Yeah.
We're on everything except Switch.
Except for Nintendo.
Yeah.
But
we'll get there. We'll get there one day.
But that's really interesting how you guys have really pushed it as an actual platform and not just a website that you can stream games. And I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of kept an eye on it, because I'm like, this is more than just, this is a platform, this is a culture you guys are building. But no, absolutely. I mean, I actually spend a lot of time just browsing Antstream. That's the problem. It's kind of like Netflix. Like
Netflix, where you're browsing.
Don't play, just keep browsing.
Yeah, you're like, is this going to be worth loading? I don't know. I'm going to skip. But yeah, I think my experience at Antstream is very browser based. I'm just browsing constantly, which is a good thing.
New
how
platforms.
big is the team at? Like, how big is this company? Because I remember when I first heard of it, it was like a couple of people like setting this stuff up. Now it's like, it's a huge thing, right?
It's interesting because people always assume we're this big, massive corporate company, right? And we're not. Yeah, I think we even got smaller, to be honest.
Yeah, we're still a small team.
Yeah.
We're still a small team. We were a team of 50 at one point.
Right.
And then the pandemic happened. And then, people were furloughed. And, we've managed... Everything we've done is to keep the team small and lean. And, to keep retaining that kind of, that sort of momentum going and stuff.
Well, that's cool. How long have you been there?
For me, I think it's coming 8 years, actually. It's a long time. I was there before Antstream actually launched, the early days. I think Sasha came on just before we launched, right? So like a year
I came
later.
a week before we launched. So literally when I joined, it was just about launch, like live for everyone on PC and everything.
Wow.
So
yeah.
That was literally my first week. So it was like quite a milestone for the company already. And, and then for the next 3 years, we had to go deal with, when are you guys coming on PlayStation? I'm like, and I'd be like, well, I'm working on the PlayStation app, but I can't tell you guys because, we got to keep the secrets, man. But that leaves me on to my next segment, which is more to the community.
Yeah.
Community questions this week. Okay, so Libus, the thresholds for gold, silver, and bronze are widely different from game to game. I'd say the majority of medals in challenges. Yeah, okay. So okay. So
he's saying, why is it so high, Sasha?
Why is it so?
So you're the one who usually tested these. Why is the threshold so high?
The heat is on. Yeah. You know what? It's mainly because we always have this argument, even when we have our internal let's play about the medal thresholds. A lot of people on the team are like, no, if you get gold, you got to earn gold. It's like the tournament we had the other week where, they were
combat tribes, wasn't it?
Combat tribes. They were saying getting 100 gold is impossible, and then some guy came out of nowhere, some walrus guy came out of nowhere and got 200 or almost 200.
Yeah, 120 to 140, something like that.
Something like that. And it was just like, no, it is these are achievable, but gold is supposed to be hard. Now, here's me answering stuff for other medals that we've had, past stuff, because challenges have always been inconsistent, I would say, with some of our stuff, and it's because of different generations of people deciding the medals and stuff. And obviously before I joined, there was a team of 3 people that were there before me, and they had a different mentality completely. I guess with challenges moving forward, I could lower them to gold, but I tell you what, Discord, I'll let you guys decide. You guys can duke it out whether you want gold to be really hard or just as achievable as the other ones. I'm always in the notion of gold should be just about achievable. You know what I mean? Just so you guys got to work at it more.
I mean, to be fair, what we're doing is we are catering to the older audience who love these shoot 'em ups, and as we said in earlier in this podcast, that there's a whole bunch of people that love these games, and the difficulty level is so high. So we have to cater for that. So gold is really for those veteran players that love these games, want that difficulty, and so we have to apply to that audience as well. But I'm more of a bronze guy. I tend to get bronze very easy, and then silver maybe I get there. So it's not for everyone, but I guess if you're medal hunting, get good. I guess that's the only way, right?
Okay, so Jerome, what is our new tournament? We're into the tournament section.
Okay, so
Trotston?
Yeah, this week we are working on Trotston. I think we got 2-3 more days of this recording, 2-3 more days before it ends. So it is a 1 life high score challenge. I believe the challenge is called
Look at that prize
Boogie
pot.
on Your
We
Wing.
got 8,750 gems up for grabs, guys. Who's getting this number 1 spot? At the moment, we have Lion 1867, who's an Xbox user. He's at 165,000 points, just over. Then Libus, ESN.
Yep.
Yeah, this guy, this old chestnut. 152,000 points, followed by the Supreme Cabinet at 142 points. Then,
so the battle of first and second is really between Xbox and PlayStation, as the old days, between 2 people. Yeah.
Rastanstar, you got to put a little bit more in to get the top 3. I have faith in you, buddy. Just another 20,000 more points or 30,000 more points, you can get in there, man. And Dave, 1971, you could probably take 4th spot, like another 500 points, and you're there, man. Try again. But you guys got how many days, Jerome? 3, 2?
Yeah, we see where this comes out, but yeah, 2-3 days.
2-3 days. Get back in their fight for the #1 spot. Come on, guys, take down the lion. The Sasquatch is gone. I'm not seeing the Sasquatch guy, but you know.
And we should talk about our next challenge coming up, because by this recording, then our next challenge will probably be out, and it should be Aladdin on the Mega Drive. This challenge is the never-ending lava level, so it is the tricky lava level that just keeps on repeating and gets harder and harder, and you got to rely on your reflexes, and make sure you don't crash into anything. So cool. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
All right. I guess that's it. That's us for this week. HaZ, fantastic having you, Mr. Hollywood HaZ.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much.
Okay, and before we go, I've got to ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at IMDb right now. I'm going to ask this one. Is that a movie license? What's it, a video game license you're working on? Mutant Year Zero?
Oh, that was something I was involved in, but I think the project is pure Hollywood land. It kind of fizzles out. Do you remember I was working on Robin Hood? That was announced. Remember Robin Hood?
Yes, I remember
with
that.
Warner Brothers. That fizzled out as well. That's the land of Hollywood. You get involved in it, then they just fizzle the project out. You're like, oh.
And I'm seeing Dolph Lundgren involved. What?
Yeah, I got to work with Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, you got to work with him?
Yeah, I got to work with him, and I got to work with Sean Pertwee as well.
I think we have to save this for another podcast when you come over.
Yeah,
another story.
The next one.
Is there anything you want to plug in while you're here? Your channel, your games, anything you want to say?
Yes, please go and get Astro Burn now. Just go to Steam, type in Astro Burn. It's the only game called that, and it's super cheap. It's the price of a cup of coffee and a pastry. It's like £7. Grab it now. It's on Steam GOG. And it's going to be part of a bunch of other cells. But yeah, absolutely. You can get me on LinkedIn. You just type in my name, HaZ Dulull, on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram as HaZ Dazzle. You can find me on X, if anyone still uses that, HaZ_Dulull. But beyond -pixels.com. That's where everything is.
Cool. And you guys can catch me up in the Discord, and Jerome in the Discord, or if you want to really message me on Twitter, Sashman3 on Twitter, if I check it. I'll be honest with you, I don't really check it, but that's where I am. And Jerome?
Yeah, just basically on Discord. If you want to find me, I think I'm under Big J XXL. Yeah. Don't ask me why.
No. All right, guys.
There's a story about that, actually. We talk about that. Yeah. Okay. See you. Bye.
Bye.